The following is a production of ProDuctions.com.
Rock and roll live.
Hello and welcome to Walk and Roll Live. I'm Doug Vincent along with Eric Aguilar. I'm a polio survivor, crutch user for years, and transitioned into a wheelchair user over the last 20 years.
What's up, guys? I'm Eric Aguilar. I have cerebral palsy. I'm hard of hearing in the left ear, and I'm a walking stick user.
Good to see you. I know you just wrapped up a class, right?
Today's the second to last day for the Systematic Advocacy and Leadership Academy for People with Disabilities. It's a program I've been participating in for quite a while.
Yeah.
Today, I was watching my fellow classmates present their final projects, and let me tell you, the first round of projects was phenomenal.
So when do you do yours? Have you done yours yet?
I'll do mine on the last day, which is next Monday at 1 o'clock.
All right. Well, we'll have to hear all about it. Probably a week after that then. Or next week.
Oh, yeah.
We'll figure it out. Love to hear about it. So anything else exciting happened? Did you have a good Father's Day?
Oh, yeah. We had a great Father's Day. We barbecued some, whatchamacallit? What is that meat called?
Carne asada.
Oh, no. It's not carne. Tri-tip. We barbecued some tri-tip, and we put it together with the salsa and the sour cream and the cheese and all the black beans and the corns. Oh. They were almost like nachos, but they were made with fries.
Stop. I'm hungry right now.
Sorry about that.
It's only making it worse. That sounds yummy. That sounds great. Well, I went to breakfast with my daughter and my granddaughter yesterday. We've done it a few times over the years, not just Father's Day, but other breakfast outings. And it was a little too much for, the attention span of a youngster, but had a good one yesterday. Yeah, she finally is, old enough to really kind of hang out with us and not want to, go on to some other activity. So, yeah, we had a good time. I loved it. Also went to the Rancho Cucamonga Adaptive Sports Fair over the weekend. That was on Saturday. I think just from the nature of it, I think they were kind of testing the waters, just kind of putting their toe in. It was only about 2 hours long. Not a lot of really, real disability sports. But I could see indoors, I think they had adaptive basketball. And outside they had soccer and a few other things, but it didn't really look like it was necessarily tailored to, wheelchair users, that kind of thing. But a lot of benders, and I think they'll get more of that. Great first, let me say that, a great first outing for them. And hopefully they've learned some lessons and they see there's a need for it, because I think the participation, people coming to the fair, they had a good attendance for a first year like that. So I think they've seen that there's a real desire to have something like that. Beautiful facility too in Rancho Cucamonga, California. Their sports facility, covered basketball courts and tennis courts and all that stuff. So didn't even have to lug an easy up out. We went and hung out with Rolling Start, and we were going to go and we were going to record some interviews out there. But my partner that does all the heavy lifting, he came up with some back issues. Went to the chiropractor, tried to get that sorted out, and with no luck. So I just went and represented us and had a good time. So hopefully they'll continue to do that every year. That's my hope. It was fun. So we've got letters. You ready?
I'm ready.
We get letters. Oh, so many letters, and it's time to share them with you.
Yeah, if you're not ready, that'll get you in the mood, right? So this week we have a letter from a listener and was interested in what advice we would give to someone with a disability who wants to start their own podcast or media project. You got any thoughts on that?
I'm going to start by saying, always say yes when life says no. And if you want to get your story out, you tell it in the best way that you know how to tell your own story.
I think that's the deal, man. You just start it. Don't worry about, whether it's going to be perfect or not, because it never is. And just whether you have all the knowledge of how to do this. I thought about this for a while and finally just jumped in, and now you really start to learn, I think, once you're doing something, right?
But when I hear stories, Doug, I feel so empowered and inspired. And rather than just telling the story the way it means the most to you,
Yeah.
what people don't realize these days is that, believe it or not, their story is still being written to this day.
Yeah. Oh, it's ongoing, isn't it?
Oh,
like
yeah.
every day is a new chapter. So, and we've got a good one today. Coming up today, we are going to talk to Leonard Ortega. I think you know Leonard. He is an SCI survivor and an AT expert for Community Access Center in Riverside, California. What is AT? Well, we're going to find out. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back after this word from Aguiar Professional Training.
Introducing Aguiar Professional Training, where we believe your greatest asset is your team. Investing in their development, knowledge, and happiness is crucial for the success and growth of your business. To reach new heights, you need to hire smart, talented individuals and empower them to work in their areas of strength and passion. At Aguiar Professional Training, we're dedicated to helping your employees become happier, more productive, and fulfilled, because when your team thrives, your business thrives. We can help your workplace work better. We offer customized workshops and one-on-one coaching to help teams and leaders build trust and have better communication. We also offer strategic planning sessions, among other services. Elevate your team with Aguiar Professional Training.
Walk and Roll Live. Disability stories. Heard in 30 countries around the world and in your earbuds.
All right, welcome back. It is time to get to know our guest. Let's start with your name, your disability, and where you're from.
All right, my name is Leonard Ortega. I'm a C7 quadriplegic. I'm from Community Access Center in Riverside.
Very good. Well, thank you, Leonard, for joining us. We appreciate it. Nice to have you here. I've known Leonard for a few years. When I was working at Rolling Start, we met. He's at Community Access. Both of these are independent living centers, which there's 28 in California, and I know there's a bunch of them across the country too, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So
we are the Inland Empire right there.
That's it right there. Mm-hmm. Now, do you cover beyond Riverside County?
No. I mean, beyond Riverside County is Arizona.
Yeah. It's kind of like San Bernardino, right?
Yeah.
Runs
it
into
goes to the
Nevada.
border, and yeah.
And I know that's who you're like kind of contracted to cover, but you reach out beyond that area.
I mean, I reach out to San Bernardino, Orange County, to Claremont. I get calls from LA, San Diego. I get calls from across the states. I've had calls from Florida, Tennessee, Virginia, for like mostly when the family members are here, but then the families are out of state. They'll call us. How they get my number, I don't know all the time, but they call and I'll help the people here. But I dealt with them when they're coming into town.
So your reputation precedes you.
Oh, you know it does.
Which is a good thing. So before we, get into it, because I kind of twofold, I wanted to have you on because I've been looking for somebody to kind of talk about assistive technology and explain what that's all about to our listeners if they're not aware, or maybe even to, able-bodied friends and family, if there's need for the people with a disability, that there are the independent living centers that can provide a lot of those things. So I wanted to talk about that, but I kind of get 2 for 1 with you. You're also disabled, so we can kind of hear your story and share that with our audience, which I think is always good to hear the different perspectives. Everybody that we've had on the show, even though the injuries and the outcomes may be similar, the stories are so much different in so many different ways. That's one of the things I've learned from doing this. And I know we've always talked about, if you're in this community, you realize very quickly that there's many differences between us, even within the same, disability. So, I always got to refer to us as snowflakes in that way. We're all very, very unique, and we always learn something new from somebody. But, where are you originally from?
I was born in LA, and I moved out here to Riverside when I was 12. I've been out here for over 35 years already.
Yeah. So this is where you went to school for the most part?
Yeah, I went to middle school and high school out here. And then after high school, I joined the Army. And I was in the Army for 5 years.
Now,
and I was stationed in North Carolina.
So I was looking through some information, and you were in ROTC. Was that in high school?
No, I got a scholarship from the Army to go into ROTC, and I was attending Cal State San Bernardino. So upon completion, I would have been an officer. But during that time, I was in a car accident, which left me as a quadriplegic.
Yeah, so that must have been a fairly brief kind of period between graduating and getting ready to go off to the Army, huh?
Yeah, I was already enlisted, but before I graduated, I signed up.
Yeah.
I left like 3 months after I graduated from high school.
Yeah. So, what was the nature of that? Your accident.
Signing up. Oh, I was. Well, I don't like to say it, but I was drunk, and I collided with the semi truck. So, as far as I know, it didn't hurt, but it hurts now.
Yeah. So
25 years later.
So you have some lasting pain from that.
Yeah, no, actually, I don't have a lot of pain.
Yeah.
Just, I'm just in a chair. I can't stand up or walk, but I do all right getting around. And I get around pretty good. As a matter of fact, I just came back from Fresno this weekend. I drove over there on Friday and came back yesterday and Sunday.
Yeah. Well, I can attest to that. Yeah. Get out of his way if you see him coming. Well, I appreciate you sharing that with us, because I know it can be difficult to share some of these stories. So I appreciate you. And I think, it's a valuable lesson that people can learn from that. We hear that and it almost becomes a platitude after a while, where, don't drink and drive, those kinds of things. And you hear it so much, you become a little numb. But I think when you hear stories like yours, and it kind of really makes it real. And what was it like at that point when, your life is changing, obviously, in an instant, because change is inevitable in everybody's life, but I think rarely is it, that cut and drive from one moment to the next, right? So what was going through your mind?
I was in Loma Linda Medical Center, and they would tell me stories that I would ask the nurses and the therapists, "Oh, what's your name?" And they're like, "I just told you my name like 10 minutes ago." That's how bad my injury was at the time.
Yeah.
And I was there for 3 months recovering, which it was good. I did pretty good. I was in good spirits most of the time. The only time I got bored because nobody was there in the evenings, and I like to talk to some people sometimes. I like to socialize.
Yes, you do. I'll vouch for that. Yeah, Leonard comes into the room and he's saying hi to everybody, and everybody's saying hi to him too. So from the guests that we have talked to up to this point, I don't remember very many being there for that long. So yeah, that kind of speaks to the severity of your injuries.
Oh, you mean in the rehabilitation?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, when I got out of the hospital, I used to go back and visit the new patients, and as within, I would say the first 3 to 6 months, people were staying only 5 to 8 weeks, maybe. But I think that was an insurance thing.
Yeah, I believe so.
They were pushing them out early.
Yeah.
I was there about 12 weeks, and so by the time I was out and I was visiting people, and they were leaving within closer to 6 weeks, 8 weeks, they were already sending them home. And it couldn't have been that because the therapy was so much better. The technology wasn't that advanced in 6 weeks or a couple months.
Yeah.
I think it was just insurance that was trying to push them out.
Yeah. And we've definitely heard the stories where, people were encouraged to leave, let's say, but they weren't ready. They weren't taught kind of the basics of, transferring and all of those things. So they weren't,
right.
You're like you say, it wasn't the therapy was, premier so they could be out in that amount of time. Yeah, I think it was tied to insurance and it kind of left people, unprepared for the life afterwards. So were there services for you like that? I mean, you talk about going in and seeing new patients. Was that on your own or was that part of an organization?
That was, it was pretty much on my own. I was considered a volunteer. So I would go in and visit the patients and on my way home, actually, because I used to, take the bus from Riverside to San Bernardino when I was in college, and I would transfer buses right there in Loma Linda. So on the way home, I would stop, get off the bus while I was waiting for my bus to Riverside.
Mm-hmm.
I usually had 30 minutes to 45 minutes waiting for the bus, and I would go in and talk to them for a little bit. And I used to go to school every day, so I would have time to go and talk to them. I would meet them and just talk to the patients and talk to the families.
Yeah.
To give them my experiences of what I learned in that time that I was there and since I had been out.
I'm sure that was so invaluable for them. Not only whatever you were saying, which I'm sure was valuable information, but just to see you roll in is powerful, right, for them. So then you graduated and what did you study?
I studied business administration. So I got my bachelor's in business administration, concentration in, good question.
We're testing you here. So was that, let's see, I'm looking at you got me some notes here. So it was pre-2003, right? We know that.
I graduated in 2002. Yeah.
Okay. So you went to Community Access Center pretty quickly then after you graduated.
Yeah, actually, I was still going to school after I graduated.
Mm-hmm.
I retook some classes that I had got lower grades in because I was trying to get into the master's program. So I was trying to raise my GPA. So I retook several classes. And while I was there, I joined a club that was for people with disabilities over there at Cal State San Bernardino. And one of the ladies that was in the club, she was trying to help people get jobs. And she contacted Community Access Center. And I started volunteering over there first. So I volunteered there for about a year before I actually got hired. But I would just go in a couple of days a week.
Yeah.
I didn't have a set schedule. I would just show up whenever I showed up, which is kind of schedule I like.
Yeah. So did you start in assistive technology or were you doing some other things?
I would doing like auditing files, and I did help with the assistive technology. Because assistive technology is just any device or thing that helps make your daily living better, just aids to daily living. Like me, since I'm in a wheelchair, I had the experience with that. So when people were going and asking questions, I could give them a little bit basic about wheelchairs, and then I just stayed there, and that was a position that was offered to me.
Awesome. So in a wheelchair, that falls under assistive technology, all of the durable medical equipment, right?
Right.
But over the years, I'm sure you've seen a lot of advancements in a lot of technology that's involved with the like iPads and those kinds of apps and things?
Yeah, when I started, I don't remember even. I'm sure that the apps and things were out there. Well, the phones weren't a big thing like it is now.
Right, yeah.
Everybody wasn't walking around with the phone and having apps on their phones. The iPads were still new, and even the computer. I mean, the computers weren't new, but the apps on the computers.
Yeah.
So that was something I remember when I was in school. Before I graduated, I tried. It was the Dragon Naturally Speaking to help do papers. So speak into the microphone and it would type it up on the computer screen. But that never worked out for me. So I just never used it. And then now you got that feature on your phone. You could speak into your phone and it types it pretty clearly.
Yeah.
So I was in there struggling typing up papers, and they were a page of a paper, and my typing was never really good. So I would just poke and pick at the keys. It would take me 30 minutes to an hour just to do like a half a page or a page.
Mm-hmm.
But I was never a typer before, so that wasn't the reason that my typing was so slow. It's just because I didn't know how to type anyways.
Yeah. I never learned to type. I'm a hunt and pecker, which
right. But now I can type decent anyways. I know where the keys are.
That helps, right?
Right, but I don't have to type up papers too often. So,
well, I know text to speech and speech recognition. Talk to text. That all worked. Yeah. As much as we're frustrated with it sometimes, I think everybody's experienced that. You say one thing and it types another, but it's come a long way since what it first was.
Sometimes it just says the words that it wants to say that makes sense to the computer or to whatever you're typing.
Sometimes I think it makes up its own words too.
Yeah. Like, is that what you heard? That's not what I said.
Yeah. Sometimes it'll put words on it, and I go search them to see is that a real word? Why would you even type out a word that's not a real word?
You just gotta make sure before you send it to anybody that you read it.
Yes. Yeah. I've had some close calls. Almost sent something. I'm like, oh, that's not what I meant to say. So it keeps you pretty busy. And I know that one of the big things that you do is ramps, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So, we've been doing ramps for a little over 10 years.
So you got it down.
And when we first started doing the ramps, we had a contractor that we would use, and he would go doing the measurements and everything. But he was using wood. He was making wooden ramps, which was good for the person. But after a while, the wood tends to warp, or if the person would pass away or move, the wood was attached to the houses or mobile homes, which is one of the biggest things is we're doing mobile homes.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you pull out the wood, there's a bunch of holes left on the mobile home. So when they sold it or whatever they did to it, which luckily that wasn't our problem. We just called them to move it. We didn't have to go fix it because that was their issue to fix it or to sell it as is. But then after that, we started using Easy Access. It's a manufacturer, and so we became a vendor for them. And they're aluminum ramps, so now they're freestanding, self-supporting ramps. And I started going out taking measurements to make sure if there was room for them or how long they needed to be, and then I would just order everything that we needed and then call my ramp installer and they would go put them in. So that seemed to work out because we're also able to reuse them.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. So you almost have like a library of ramps, right? So somebody may need it
right.
for a while, or somebody passes and they don't need it anymore. Then you could take that back, and if it fits for somebody else, you could take it out there, right?
Yeah, because right now I would say we have at least 200 to 250 ramps out in the county.
Yeah,
because we have reused them or they're just new. Some people have had them over 10 years too.
Yeah.
But we've had people that pass away and then we just move them somewhere else. A lot of times it's in the same mobile home park, or even if it's not, I get calls for ramps almost every day.
Yeah.
And so I have a list of people that need them and people that want to give them back to us, so we go pick up, because we have stickers with our name and our phone number on them. So the families, they're usually pretty good about calling us when their family members pass away, because they know how hard it is to get things, which is the same with the durable medical equipment.
Yeah.
People will call us up, hey, we have this that we don't want to throw away because we know how hard it was to get.
Yeah.
So would you guys like to have it? We'll drop it off, or you guys come pick it up, and stuff like that we'll use for other people too.
Yeah, it's a tough one, because I always felt like when I was at Rolling Start, still on the board, but when I worked there for a bit, if we could get those two groups together, the people that, have some of those durable medical equipment pieces, and there's a point where they don't need them anymore. If they knew about us and would donate them to us, we could find a home very quickly for them. But then part of the issue, and I don't know if you guys have this issue, but then there's storage, because you don't find somebody right away sometimes, so you have to store, and a lot of that equipment can take up a lot of space that we may not have in our office. So there's some challenges there, but yeah, it would be helpful if we could get some of that stuff, and it doesn't take long.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? Yeah, there's a need out there. And mostly that's for people that don't have insurance, because people with insurance, or if they're on Medi-Cal or Medicare, then they can get those needs met. But it's the people that kind of fall through the cracks that don't have the income to get that stuff, and it can be very expensive. And if you don't have insurance, then you need an assistance, and that's what organizations like ours are out there for.
Yeah, but even with the people that have insurance, sometimes it takes months and months to get something. So that's where we come in. We could just let them have it for a few months while they're waiting for their new ones, and then most of the time they'll return it to us after they get a brand new one.
That is
so
awesome.
That helps them in the meantime. So we don't even have a loan program anymore, because once we give it to them, it's theirs to keep as long as they need it.
Mm-hmm.
And then if they want to return it to us, which they usually do, then we could use it for somebody else.
These days, like you were talking about, they're aluminum, right? And they're modular, so you can reuse. You don't have to reuse the entire specific ramp for another residence and hope that it fits. If you just mix and match the modules, you can make one that fits, right? If I understand that correctly.
Right. Because usually, what our standard ramp is on the mobile home, which is like 90% of what we do, is a 5x5 platform by the door, and then 3 8-foot sections of ramp. So we buy a lot of 8-foot sections of ramp, and then if we have to take one apart, we could use either one 8-foot section on just a couple of steps, or we could use 2, or even if we have to use 4, we could put them all together and make it. Because what it is for every inch high the door is, the ramp should be a foot out. So if it's a 24-inch high door, then we put 24 feet of ramp.
Yeah. It's a foot for every inch, yeah?
Yeah.
Did you say that? I'm sorry. Yeah. So what is there a criteria that has to be met for you to take advantage of this service?
No, as long as they have a disability, which is what we serve everybody. As long as they have a disability, we serve everybody, no matter what age they are, no matter what disability. But when it comes to the ramps, usually if they're wheelchair users, was what we first started doing. But even if it's somebody that uses a walker or a cane that has a harder time going up and down the steps, then we'll provide them with a ramp. Because if you're trying to go down the steps with a walker, it's just not too easy.
Absolutely.
Or safe.
Or safe. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's our main goal, is to keep them safe.
You know, and that way they don't become isolated. You know, they're not homebound. They can get out and enjoy life, and that, you know, is so good in so many ways. You know, their mental health, all of that.
Yeah, they get to go out shopping, because a lot of these communities where we put the ramps in, they have, you know, little stores nearby where they could go out, and that way they can get out, like you said, their mental well-being is, and they could have company come over, or they could go out and visit people. Yeah. That's a great help.
Yes.
That way they're not stuck at home inside, not able to go anywhere.
Is there, and I know the ramps are the big thing, and that takes up most of your time, but any other particular pieces of assistive technology that you want to highlight?
I get a lot of wheelchair requests, and I get a lot of power wheelchairs donated. Mm-hmm. So the electric wheelchairs. The only problem is a lot of times I get them. By the time I get them, they've been sitting there for 6 months to a year in somebody's garage, and the batteries are dead.
Yeah.
So the batteries, you know, they're not cheap. They're a couple $100 for each battery, and usually they take 2 batteries, but that's cheaper than trying to buy a brand new chair for thousands of dollars. Mm-hmm. So that works out. Sometimes we could get a grant depending on what it is. And sometimes the people are able to purchase their own batteries, and then they get it as soon as they can buy the batteries, they're able to use a chair. But if you got to go waiting for us to get a grant, that might take a couple months. But there's always a way out there. Or sometimes I'll get another chair in that has batteries, just they're not always brand new batteries. So I tell the people, you know what, this one has used batteries already. It's going to last you a couple months probably. It might last longer. But just start saving up, because you might have to buy your own batteries, because we don't have the money to buy batteries for everybody.
I know in the time that when I got my power chair, and I got batteries, I want to say they were $120 a piece, and I had to get 2. And
that was cheap.
Yeah, and I just had to replace them, and I got them through Amazon. I want to say they were like $80 for the pair of them. Just, you know, that may not be the case all the time, but I was kind of surprised. I got a good price. So
was that a wheelchair, or was that a scooter?
That was, it's not the lightweight scooters, but it's not like a power chair. Yeah. Like yours. It's more the kind of the models that aren't designed for one person specifically. You know what I'm talking about? Lark, things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's different types of batteries, and so like mine, I take big batteries in mine, which luckily I get mine through the VA, so I'm not worried about that. But other people that have a chair like mine, the batteries cost like $250 for one battery.
Yeah. Mine are little petite ones.
Yeah.
So it wasn't as much.
Those are nice.
When you run into vets that need it, holler at me. I have a organization that is all about the vets. You know, that's their whole purpose. And so they wouldn't mind spending a little money to take care of those batteries for a vet if they need a chair. And you've got the chair, but need new batteries. Let me know.
Yeah. And what group was that?
It's called.
What's the name of them?
Yeah, it's Volunteers for Veterans.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, here in the Inland
Empire. They're the ones
Empire.
that used to do the car shows at the VA.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're in Loma Linda. Yes, they don't do the car show, but they still, they're still surviving and doing some great work.
And that's good.
I'll put you guys in touch.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So I think that's it. That's all I got in my interrogation for you. Was there anything else that we missed that you'd like to share? Oh, I know what. Back up just a little bit. We got to talk about your family. Where did you meet your wife in your duties at?
I met my wife when I was in the Army.
The Army, okay.
She was there because her dad was in the Army. So I met her, and we spent some time together a few months before I got out. And then after I came home and was in my accident, I connected with her a few years later, and we got married. And so I was with her before my accident, and then now we've been married for almost 20 years. And we have 2 kids. And my son's in the Army. And my daughter, she just had a baby. So now I got a granddaughter.
So you're a grandpa. Very nice.
And that's great. Yes.
Yeah. That's pretty good. That grandfather is a pretty good title.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I love it.
It's a lot of fun.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations on everything, and like I was saying before, I think you'll, I don't know why, and I go back and forth on it, but in our community, I've read several articles about people that somebody says, well, you're so inspirational, and people take issue with that, and there's times when there's nothing wrong with it, I mean, I think many people of all abilities can inspire you. And, if somebody's inspired by what we accomplish, we don't necessarily look at it as anything other than just surviving. What other choice do you have, right? You want... Right, because
the alternative is not good.
Yeah, and you want to be independent, right? Everybody does. And if you can achieve that, great. You want to have a family. If you can achieve that, great. But it's just the same things that everybody wants and strives for. Yeah. But sometimes people think that, there are plenty of people out there that look at us and assume, I've had it. You probably had it, where, you go somewhere and somebody, you drove here? It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
So you understand what they're assuming that, how can you drive? All that's going through their head. So, if I inspire somebody, I'll live with that. All right, enough of me preaching. I'm going to let you go. We're going to see each other tomorrow at the Inland Empire Disability Collaborative, and we're going to announce to everybody that you're going to be on. So by the time we tell them, well, it won't be on quite yet. It'll be on in the afternoon, but
yeah. Well, just send me the link, and I'll send it out to the IDC. That way they could blast it out before the meeting.
I like it.
And everybody will have it, and they could watch it in the afternoon or listen to it in the afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we appreciate you taking the time out. Sounds like you're very busy with the ramps and all of that. So thank you very much for coming on and opening up and sharing your story. We appreciate it, Leonard.
It's easy to be busy when I only work half a day.
Words to live by. I like it. All right. Well, take care. Don't work too hard.
All right.
Leonard Ortega, everybody. Oh, what a good talk. All right. Stand by. We'll wrap things up right after this.
Are you ready to walk and roll into a world of inspiration and empowerment? Introducing Walk and Roll Live, the podcast that celebrates independence, resilience, and the human spirit. Join us as we journey with incredible guests who share their stories of triumph over adversity, breaking barriers, and embracing life to the fullest. Get ready to be inspired, uplifted, and motivated to conquer any challenge. Subscribe now and join the movement. Walk and Roll Live. Life limitless.
Welcome to Walk and Roll Live with Doug Vincent and Erica Gula. And this will happen for your life.
All right, folks, welcome back. I'm Eric Igler here with my buddy Doug.
All right. Great to hear Leonard's story, right?
Oh, yeah.
He was one of those guys that was reluctant to come on, one of the people that I'd reached out to, and they're like, I don't know if I'm ready for that, or they're just not comfortable. Or I've had some people, which I thought was interesting, I hadn't heard it, before, that they didn't feel like their story was worth telling. And I'm like, oh, man, don't feel that way. Every story has something in it, maybe not the whole thing is compelling, but there's, at least that's been my experience listening to these stories. Everybody has at least one perspective that I haven't heard before, but it's usually way more than that, and it's just great to hear the stories in their entireties, kind of a long form. We don't really get an opportunity to do that very often, tell our own stories for a while. People have short attention spans, but when it comes to a podcast, I think they sit down and, they focus on it. They're on a car drive or wherever people listen to these things. They've got the time that they can sit and actually concentrate. So it's great to have these stories and get them out there.
Let me tell you, Doug, telling the story, it takes courage. And I admire that from people.
Yeah. And I think it's good for the storyteller too. Right? I think sometimes
Absolutely.
Just getting that stuff out kind of helps you with your own journey, your own mental health a lot of times. So we appreciate the folks that come on and tell their stories. I know that's very difficult sometimes. So upcoming Angel City Games are coming up. They're a huge games, adaptive sports fair kind of thing that goes on in Los Angeles every year. A lot of Paralympians have come out of there. So I put it up on our website. There's a logo on our events page. And if you click on that, it'll take you through to their page and give you all the information. I think we're just 10 days away at the recording of this. So, make plans to either go participate or at least go observe. I'm going to try to we were going to maybe go over there and try to, meet some people and do some recordings of interviews. I haven't totally thrown out that idea, but
I love the Angel City Games, Doug.
Yeah.
I did it virtually during the phases of COVID. It may have been virtual, but the virtual has taught me anything, there's always more than one way to skin a cat, but part of the expression.
Yeah, exactly. And I was looking through their website. Yeah, and they did have to go virtual one year, but then now they're back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, so go on their page and check it out. And if there's anything else that you know about an event that's happening in your neighborhood, this is heard across the United States. We have listeners in right around 30 different countries around the world. So if something's happening in your neck of the woods, let us know and we'll get it out there. We'll even talk about it a little bit here on the podcast. So, and if you're looking for resources pertaining to your disability, we have a slew of them on our resource page on our website, walkandrolllive.com, adding new ones all the time. As a matter of fact, I went around and collected a bunch of cards and information and just talked to people at the Rancho Cucamonga Adaptive Sports Fair and got a whole new roster of new interviews that we're going to do, and we'll put their information on the website as well. So maybe there's something new there for you if you haven't checked it out in a while. Next week, I'm not sure. I've got so many different people I've reached out to, and the people I just got to get them all lined up and see who I'm going to have on next. But tune in next week, and you will find out. All right. Any closing thoughts, Mr. Aguilar?
I know you say you got a lot of ideas for guests in mind, but hey, it's just like a record player. Whatever record you want to play, go ahead and do it.
Boom. Yes, right. So we haven't mentioned it in a while, but, we're available everywhere. I don't know where you're listening to this, but we are available in a lot of different places. Haven't talked to you about a whole lot. Our YouTube page, which even though we haven't talked about it a lot, there's a lot of people that listen on our YouTube page. Just look for Walk and Roll Live, and you'll find that. And please like, share, follow, and ring the little bell, whatever we do on all these different podcasts. It will really help us out. All right. Thanks for listening. That is the number one thing, too. Thank you for taking time and listening to our podcast here at Walk and Roll Live. I'm your host, Doug Vincent, with Eric Aguilar from the Aguilar Professional Training Studio. This has been Walk and Roll Live, Disability Stories, Life Limitless.
Walk and roll life. Life's the best. limitless.
In a world where stories often go untold, there's a place where voices shine like gold. Walk and roll life, we're paving the way for unity and love each and every day. Through the whispers of our pain we find our strength. In the echoes of our laughter we go to great land, sharing narratives that heal and inspire, building bridges, lifting voices higher. Walk and roll life, where hearts unite. In every story shared we find our light, empowerment and hope we spread worldwide. Walk and roll life, we stand with pride. From the silent battles to the triumphs grand, we celebrate each journey hand in hand. Insightful conversations, breaking every chain, a beacon of camaraderie through joy and pain. Through the whispers of our pain we find our strength. In the echoes of our laughter we go to great land, sharing narratives that heal and inspire, building bridges, lifting voices higher. Walk and roll life, where hearts unite. In every story shared we find our light, empowerment and hope we spread worldwide. Walk and roll life, we stand with pride, promoting awareness, fostering care, a trusted source, we're always there. With every voice we grow stronger still. Together we can climb any hill. Walk and roll life, where hearts unite. In every story shared we find our light, empowerment and hope we spread worldwide. Walk and roll life, we stand with pride. Through the tales of life we find our way. Walk and roll life, shining every day. In the bond we share we'll always strive,